If you've ever opened a seed catalog and suddenly you had 47 packets of seeds in your cart, this video is definitely for you. One of the biggest mistakes that I made as a new flower farmer was ordering all the things. It's so hard, it's so tempting, everything's so beautiful, but this mistake led me to extreme burnout that almost cost me my business. My name's Kristen. I'm a small backyard flower farmer. I've been growing on about 1/10 of an acre for the last 4 years. My farm's located in central New Hampshire, Zone 5B. I honestly wish that I had listened to the more experienced growers when I was first starting out, who were all saying, don't grow all of the things in the beginning. Of course, I didn't listen, but I really hope that this video can bring you one more voice that's saying, stop for a second, don't order everything. Let's think about this first. I really hope that my beginner mistake, in this case, ordering all the things, can help you avoid that mistake too. The key takeaway for this video is that growing everything in the beginning does not necessarily equal success. Each variety has its own thing, right? They each need their own space, their own timing, their own conditions, their own different harvesting techniques. To learn that for 25 different varieties all at once when you're just starting a business or just starting your garden is honestly just too much. I think that the biggest lesson I've learned is that mastering a small set of things early can really lead to more success later on when you do add the more difficult flowers to grow later on. Mastery beats chaos. Your first season isn't about growing everything, it's about getting really good at growing some things. So in this video, I came up with a list of 6 different varieties that I think are really great to start out with growing cut flowers. In order to make it on this list, these flowers needed to be easy to germinate, productive, a bit forgiving, to be good for cut flowers, and have a great face life. Let's get into it. Variety number 1 is sunflowers. I know, everybody says this, but it's true. I resisted at first. Sunflowers were not my favorite thing to put into bouquets, to bring into my own home, but let me tell you, people love them. If you are growing your flowers to share or sell, sunflowers are always a hit. So I like sunflowers for a few reasons. Number 1, big bang for your buck. These are a relatively inexpensive seed, and you're gonna get a big, beautiful, colorful bloom. They're productive. You can direct sow them. Some people do start them inside to kind of get a head start in the beginning of the season, but you can start them inside. You can plant them right in the ground. They're also a pretty good introduction to succession planting, which is something that we will talk about a little bit later in the video. These are an all-around great flower for getting started, just learning to grow, and getting a lot of bang for your buck. Flower number 2 on the list is zinnias. I love zinnias. They hold a very special place in my heart. There are so many beautiful colors and varieties. These are a relatively inexpensive flower to grow. For your seed, you're gonna get a lot of stems. These are a cut and come again. So unlike sunflowers that are generally 1 bloom per plant, you're gonna get many stems, and then the more you cut them, the more they're gonna grow, the more they're gonna bloom. These flowers are also good for succession planting. So you plant once and you plant another round later in the season, and then this will keep you going with a fresh blooming flowers all season long, all the way into the fall. Zinnias are a beginner favorite for a reason. They are easy to direct sow. You can start them inside a little bit early if you want to, but you can also put them right in the ground. And there is such a huge variety of colors, sizes, and everything in between. I love them. I think they bring a lot of color and beauty into bouquets all the way through the fall. Number 3 on my list is marigold. Now, I think marigolds are a little bit underrated in the cut flower community. There are certain varieties that work so well. They're hardy, they're reliable, and they're kind of hard to mess up. I will say my biggest tip is to get the cocoa variety. So like cocoa gold is a favorite of mine. These are going to be the big blooms that you see and not some small ones. You just need to make sure you're getting the right variety. They are such a great like intermediate flower between, you know, filler flowers and focal flowers, and they bring a lot of color to your bouquet. I know that some people don't love the smell, right? But if you strip all the leaves off, the smell is basically non-existent at that point. Flower number 4 on my list is ageratum. Now this was a new one to me last year, so in my 4th year of growing. I had never grown it before, but I saw it on a different cut flower list and I decided to give it a try, and I loved it. It is this beautiful purple. I know there's a couple of different colors, but the purple is something that you don't get in a lot of other flowers, and it's a beautiful filler. Super long lasting, easy to grow, cut and come again. And again, it just lasts a really long time in the vase and gives you or your customer a lot of joy from 1 bloom. Number 5 on my list can be a little bit divisive, but I kept it on here for a reason. Cosmos. Cosmos are one of these flowers, again, super beginner friendly. You can direct seed them. I have some that volunteer themselves every year in my garden in zone 5B here in central New Hampshire. So sometimes I just wait and see what comes up, and then I transplant those as early as I can to where I actually want them. But these are a flower that are going to give you that airy, whimsy, like boho vibe. This vibe can really set your bouquets and your designs apart. Again, these are great for direct seeding. They're cut and come again. The more you cut them, the more they grow. You definitely have to stay ahead of deadheading them once it comes to like late August, September time, because they will just go and go and go. Another thing that Cosmos are really great for is if you're gonna sell wholesale to other floral designers, or you are a floral designer. We love a white Cosmo in a wedding bouquet or wedding design. Having Cosmos is really going to give you something for event florals. That's an area that you're into. Last on my list is Statice. Statice is definitely more of a filler flower, but this is something that's easy to grow. You don't really have to, tend to it too much besides keeping it weed free and all the things that you would do for other flowers. This is a flower that is super productive and you can use it fresh or dried. I have some here from last season that's dried and it's holding up great, and I've been using them in little dried arrangements. So I love having Statice that you can have for fresh bouquets, or you can harvest and dry it for a later project. And because it's so good dried, it has a really amazing vase life. So something that really sets your locally grown flowers apart from conventional flowers is the vase life. So you want someone to get some of your flowers and then for them to last so long in their vase that they would never ever think of buying conventional flowers again. They're only gonna buy locally grown flowers from now on, and that's the goal, right? To have your own joy and beauty coming from your backyard and to share that beauty with others and really get people to know that locally grown flowers are the best quality they're gonna get. Now, I think that having all of these flowers starting from early summer all the way to fall will give you beautiful bouquets. These are all things that are gonna go really well together and are gonna give you a nice, full, gorgeous bouquet. You could always add some greens, maybe some perennials you have going on, but that's something for a later time. I think that if you're just starting to grow cut flowers, or if you're struggling to find the flowers that are going to work for you, this is a really good place to start, and a place where you're going to get full, nice looking bouquets when you put everything together. And then you're also going to hone in on some growing skills, and then maybe every year after this, you add 1, 2, maybe 3 new varieties to learn along the way. And then you'll have this really solid foundation and you won't feel super overwhelmed like I was when I first started. So here's a little note on succession planting. So succession planting really just means that you're gonna plant things in successions. Maybe 6 weeks before frost, if you have a setup, you can start some things early inside. Maybe a month or 4 weeks or a month later, you start another set of flowers. And this could be direct sowing into the ground and things like that. And then maybe 1 month later, you do another. So I would recommend, if you're just starting with succession planting, to choose 1 or 2 successions. Don't worry so much about every week I have to plant more sunflowers, or every 3 weeks I have to plant more zinnias all the way through. I don't think that's a great way to start to reduce overwhelm. I think that just picking 1 or 2 successions can really extend the life of all of your blooms, while also not making you feel like you have to figure out when am I gonna sow everything and transplant it and everything like that. And then again, with many of these things on this list, you can direct seed them, and so you're not doing trays and everything like that. You're just direct seeding into the ground, and then a month later, direct seeding again. So just make sure you leave space for succession if that's something that you're interested in, and this will help give you flowers all season long. And a word on flowers maybe not to grow in the beginning. I'm not going to give any specific varieties here because we love all the lovely cut flowers, but just maybe avoid things that are super slow growing, super finicky, that are really expensive. These might be things that you want to steer clear from in your first, year or 2 of growing. For example, I love Lysianthus. I do not start it from seed. I buy it in plug trays, but this is a little bit more on the expensive side. So if I didn't really know much of how to get flowers to grow, this might feel a little bit overwhelming. If that's something that you're super excited about, or you have one variety you really want to try and make it happen, do it. Do what feels good to you. I'm just saying, maybe in the first year, start with some easy to grow stuff and then get your base going and feel really confident so that the next year you can grow some more specialty items. It's much more important to have good quality flowers than flowers that are a bit harder to grow that aren't looking so hot. For example, in my first year, one of the first things that I bought was these really expensive bare root roses. I think I paid maybe more than $100 per plant, and I got 3. That's crazy. I didn't have any income coming in from the farm. I had no idea what I was gonna do with these roses, anything like that. But I planted them. They're still in my yard. They're beautiful. But I have not really harvested much from these plants because I still don't really know what to do with them because I haven't had the time to really figure it out. So don't be like me. Don't spend hundreds of dollars on one thing that you're not super sure if it's gonna work or if it's gonna meet your goals of what your flower farm is gonna look like. And just remember, success is measured by so many different things, right? If you're even thinking about growing a lot of flowers, starting a business, selling something, figuring out how to market something to your community, kudos to you. It's really hard to put yourself out there, especially in the beginning when you're not sure what's happening. So think of your first season as a learning season and just really like kind of feel out what's going to work for you, how all these flowers are going to work together to meet your needs and the needs of your community and your customers. I am so happy that you're going to try because in my experience, growing flowers and sharing them with others is one of the greatest joys I've ever felt. Lastly, if you are setting yourself up for success by planting some of the flowers on this list, and that's just going to make it easier and easier to grow more flowers in the future. The more successful you feel growing flowers, the more likely you are to feel like you're making progress and not feeling too overwhelmed. I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you're growing this year, where you're growing, what you're most excited about for the 2026 gardening flower season. So comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And if you did learn something in this video, please go ahead and subscribe. You're going to see more imperfect but doable flower growing from me here at Live Free Florals. And if you want more, go ahead and watch this video about how I saved a lot of time with my planting method this year. Thank you so much for being here and for watching. Bye.